Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 173 of the Extra Mile podcast. This is your host, Jackson Mummy. I don't have to look at my notes to know that. I'm pretty sure that's still who I am. Even after Cal results have come out in a crazy week, and well, I hope your week is going well. This episode is due to come out right before Thanksgiving, so we hope you have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving weekend and holiday for everyone. If this is your first time on the podcast with us, welcome. We're really glad to have you here to join us and find out and talk about all things bar exam related. Now, you can receive this content a couple of different ways. You can listen to these podcasts as audios on Apple iTunes Radio or iHeartRadio, or you can watch them by going to our website at celebrationbarreview.com. This is episode 173, so just go to celebrationbarreview.com/173. You'll see video of the entire episode. You can also check out prior episodes on our website, and you can check out the videos just by putting in the episode number in that URL. Again, we're really glad to have all of you with us. I've really been, I'm thankful for so many things every year when we come around to this time. I'm certainly thankful for the growth of our podcast. Our audience has grown enormously over the couple of years that we've been doing these. I'm also really grateful for the growth of our coaching business and our bar review. Celebration Bar Review is doing as well as it ever has in 25, 26 years. And we know that that's really primarily word of mouth. It's people being successful on their exams and telling others. So we're very grateful for that, and we're grateful for the support of our friends and family. I'm personally grateful for the support of my staff. I have the most amazing support staff that you could possibly want. I also have an incredible editorial staff, and they are just wonderful. And everybody together, our marketers, our editors, our administrators, all do a terrific job. And basically, they just let me sit here and talk to the camera, which is pretty cool. And then I get to talk to students, which is the coolest part. And today I got to do as well one of those really fun things, which is to interview a passing bar taker. This interview today is with Joseph Hastings. He passed the Georgia bar exam in July 2017. He had failed the exam a couple times previously before he came to us. Came to us for the July exam. He passed, but the amazing part is that he raised his score by 31 scale points. He's going to tell you in the interview how he did it. He relied heavily on photo reading and on our proprietary writing style, and he's going to break that down for you, talk about how it all worked. The other really wonderful thing about Joe's story is that he's in active duty military, and so he did this work at night. Stayed up a lot of all-nighters doing his studies. It was really remarkable, and he's quite a guy, and we certainly appreciate his service to the country, but I think he's going to be a great member of the bar as well, and I think you're going to love hearing his story and kind of seeing what he did. Now, before we jump into our interview with Joe, I did mention that California bar results came out just before we started recording today, and I have the very first cut of those results, and I want to share those with you just briefly. I know that not everyone obviously takes the Cal Bar, but it is the largest bar exam in the country. There were, I believe, something like, how many people took the exam? I want to say about 8,000 bar takers in total. The overall pass rate for first-time and repeaters was 49.6%. Now, this is significant because last year, in July of 2016, the overall pass rate was 43%. So that 6% jump is a very large jump in bar exam numbers. Why did it happen? Well, I think the obvious reason is we went from a 3-day exam to a 2-day exam. That's number one. And number two is that the balance of the score went to an even balance between multi-state and the written portion. They're now 50-50 in the grading. Before it was 65% of the written portion, 35% of the MBE. So I think that the increase in the MBE weighting on the exam definitely made a difference. And while 49% is still one of the lowest pass rates in the country by far, this is a function of the cut score the score that you need to pass the exam. In California, it's essentially 1440. If we translated that into the UBE or other scores, we would say you needed a 144 scaled MBE, and you would need a 144 in your written part. That's huge. That 288, put that way, would compare to a 266 in New York, a 260 in other UBE states. You can see much, much higher. And so when we look at the multi-state alone, having a 144 scaled multi-state as compared to a 130 or a 133 or a 136, you can see it makes a huge difference for people, and it certainly showed up in the pass rates. Of the 85 people that took the exam, 63% were first-time takers, and that group passed at a rate of 62%, which is better, but not very good. Then there were 3,150 repeat applicants, and their pass rate was 28%. And this is really the number that we watch pretty carefully because we do have occasion to work with so many repeat bar takers. I can tell you that we exceeded those rates, but frankly, they're just not very good pass rates generally in California. And when you break it down by where people went to school, the number that really jumps out at me is the unaccredited schools that were California accredited or unaccredited had pass rates for first-time bar takers of 29 to 33%, and for repeaters 14 to 19%. And for the unaccredited correspondence and distance learning schools, their pass rates were for repeaters 17 to 22% and 25% for first-time takers. So if you went to an unaccredited correspondence or distance learning school, even if you're a first-time taker, your chances of passing are 1 in 4. That's really difficult. And the reason it's so difficult is that if you're in that situation, you cannot sit for the bar somewhere else. You can't forum shop the way that someone that's gone to an ABA accredited law school could. So we continue to see this sort of churning of people in these state accredited or unaccredited educational institutions that just aren't doing very well. They're not getting much of a pass rate here, and they're not able to go anywhere else. So they're stuck with the very highest score and really low performance. Nonetheless, the overall multi-state score across all California bar takers was 143. That was the mean. Across the nation, it was 141.7. Not terribly different, but a little bit higher in California. So, but you see, the mean is still not good enough to pass. So that's part of the challenge. Now, of course, there's another group that takes the bar in California, and that's attorneys and foreign applicants. And right now, we don't have the breakout in detail. It'll take about 3 weeks for California to release those more detailed numbers. What we can tell you is that 571 attorneys fell into that group of either foreign-trained attorneys or attorney applicants, and of that group, 37.7% passed. So again, not a very strong group and not a very strong showing by that group. So that continues to be a problem. I think when we break it down, when we get the numbers of foreign-trained attorneys, we're going to see that the foreign-trained attorneys are considerably lower than that 37%. Most of the people that passed in that group would be U.S. attorneys that were simply sitting for one day of the exam. So that's what we know right now, and obviously there's a lot of disappointment and discouragement. One of the questions that comes up a lot is, I see the rates are so different, pass rates, in February and July. Should that impact what I do? And the answer is no, it shouldn't. What's going to happen is that, as you saw, we had about 60% of the applicants, 63% were first-time takers. Well, that ratio will flip in February. We'll actually go to about 60% repeat bar takers in February. And when you recognize that repeat bar takers pass at a 28% pass rate, that's why the numbers come down. It's not because the exam is more difficult or it's graded differently. It really shouldn't make any difference to you at all. So if you're thinking about, I'm going to wait because of that, don't do that. That's generally not a very good strategy. So that's what we know about California. We've got some interviews lined up with some of our successful California bar takers. I'm really looking forward to those discussions and sharing some of what they did. These were some folks, I know I've got one scheduled right now with an individual that took the exam multiple times before coming to us and failed and then passed. And so I'm really excited to share those stories, just as I am today with our message with Joe. Now, before we jump into the final part of this with our interview, let me just say that we've got a couple of things coming up in this next week. On Saturday of this week at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're doing a Facebook Live presentation. Just go to Celebration Bar Review on Facebook. It's free, obviously, and I come on at 2 p.m. Eastern. We do about 30 to 45 minutes of a live discussion of the news of the day and share a message or an interview. So I hope you'll join us there. And if you want to be notified about those, just hop on. It'll offer you the opportunity to subscribe. Certainly like our page, and then you'll be notified. But that's this Saturday, even though the Saturday after Thanksgiving. What do they call that? Saturday after Thanksgiving, I guess. I don't know. It's Black Friday and spend all your money Saturday, something like that. Anyway, then the other thing I wanted to make sure everybody knew about is that we do a live webinar on Monday and Thursday nights called How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. This is the powerful, proven way to pass. It's incredibly successful. We've had thousands of people go through the webinar. We take a look at the case studies of people who've succeeded. We break down what they did and how they put it together, what steps to follow. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to get a roadmap to be successful on your bar exam. Now, we do these webinars at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 4 p.m. for those of you in the Pacific time zone. We won't do one on Thanksgiving night. Yeah, because I'll be in tryptophan sleep-induced coma, I'm sure. But we will be doing it on Monday and Thursday of the week after. And I wish I could tell you what those dates were, but you got it. Monday night, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Now, to register and claim your seat, just go to our website at celebrationbarreview.com. You'll see a button there. You can pick the date and sign up and join us. You can also, if you're watching this video, just scroll down the page and you'll see the same button and you can go ahead and register there. And we know that some of you, particularly California bar takers, may be feeling like, hey man, I just found out I failed. I got to jump right in. I can't wait till next Monday. We get that. So when you go to register for the webinar, you will see a third option called an on-demand option. This lets you watch a pre-recorded version of our webinar from this week, and you can schedule that at your convenience. So you can jump right in, get all set up, learn everything you got to do, and if you want to move forward, then you can do that. So we've tried to make it as convenient as we can for you, and I hope that that's helpful. Okay, so I had a lot to say today. Hope you are still all with me because the interview we've got coming up is one you don't want to miss. I think you're going to really be impressed with what Joe did and the steps that he took to have success on the Georgia bar. So let's jump into that interview today with Joseph Hastings. Well, hey everybody, welcome to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers, and we have a really fun interview lined up today. This is Joe Hastings, and Joe, you just found out that you passed the Georgia bar exam, right?
Yes, and I could not be more happy about it.
Yeah, your story is really a good one. This was not an easy just stroll by the bar and take it one day and pass, correct?
Right. A lot of work, but it's over now. Happy.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to be in a position to take the Georgia bar?
Okay, so I graduated law school, and of course I went and got one of the big box bar reviews. Kind of just thought I could wing the bar. I studied some, but I didn't really put all my effort into it. And sure enough, I found out that I failed. And so, of course, I was really upset by that. Decided I'll take it again. Kept the same materials, tried to just review, but then I got to a point where I didn't think I was ready, almost didn't even go to the second sitting of the exam, but I already had paid, so I decided to go for it. And then I went, found out that I failed again, and this was all during basic training. So I took it, then I went to basic training with the Army, and then the last day of basic training, I got the results saying I failed a second time. So, of course, and then it was like the first time I'd seen my family in 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And it was that night. And then the next day I was getting sent to advanced training with the Army. Then I was there for a year at the advanced training, trying to decide if I wanted to take it again, what I was going to do. So eventually I decided I'll take it again. I found Celebration and ended up passing the third time.
Yeah. And, you know, we thank you for your service. You're in active service in the Army. And
yes.
So you were studying while you were working, correct?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about what that process is like, because a lot of people aren't necessarily in the military, but they've got full-time jobs, and your job, I'm sure, was demanding. So how did you balance the study with the other commitments that you had?
I think it was just trying to stay disciplined and set a time when I was going to study. I was actually on night shift, and so I'd be studying on my lunch at 3 in the morning, and then on my off days.
That's why I got those emails at 3 a.m. Is that the reason?
Yeah, exactly. So my 3 a.m. that's my normal day, or was back then.
Okay.
That was my lunchtime. I'm up and at 'em, ready to go, and everyone else is asleep. And so yeah, I did that, and then I'd have off days. It'd be like 4 days on, 3 days off, and those 3 days I would be on the same sleep schedule where I'd be sleeping during the day and up at night. But then I would put in, a lot more hours on those off days to study. Just try to stick to the syllabus, send in the work, and make it happen.
Yeah. When did you start studying with us? You took and passed the July 2017 exam. When did you begin your studies with us?
I think I signed up in March.
Okay. I
want to say I didn't start studying significantly until maybe end of March, mid-April. Now, towards the end of May is when I really buckled down and started studying heavily.
Right. And what was it about Celebration Bar Review that made it an appealing choice to you when you were thinking about it, making a switch from the big box bar review?
I mean, to be honest, the most appealing thing that happened at first was seeing the videos of successful takers, especially for the state of Georgia. That gave me a lot of confidence. I wanted something new, and I wanted to start something fresh. I've been out of law school for almost 2 years, and I've been at all this training. I wasn't in the legal, the framework of law school and having that, that mindset. I was in a totally different place in my life. So I wanted something that would start me out a little slow, something different. I could kind of build up to the different things. A fresh style, a fresh approach. And Celebration seemed like that.
Good. Now, when you started working with me, I think it's safe to say that you were pretty discouraged about what had happened to you previously. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it wasn't even discouraged. It was almost like I didn't even think that this was the right path for me. Mm-hmm. It was almost like it wasn't that I'd given up. I just had decided maybe this wasn't what I was supposed to do. But I put so much work in, I didn't want to just quit, especially when I didn't think I put my best foot forward the first 2 times. But regardless of how I felt about that, it's still in the back of your mind that you failed twice. And we all know how long it is to wait, especially for Georgia, and then to take it, study, wait 3 months, find out you failed, then, all of a sudden 1.5 years is gone, and you're just like, what do I do? I mean, I need to move on with my life. I need to do something with my career. And so, yeah, I was definitely in a state of confusion, of not sure what to do or who to turn to. But then I just decided to go with Celebration and see if it would make it happen for me.
Cool. And you chose our personal coaching plan, which meant that you and I were talking about your work as you went along. People sometimes ask what those conferences are like. And I want to tell the truth. Sometimes they're rough. You and I had some challenging conversations, I'm sure, along the way for you. You want to talk a little bit about that, what that was like?
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I started out okay, and then you kind of showed me the way you wanted me to write. And I think for maybe a week or 2, I tried to do it. And then there was one time I remember specifically when I kind of reverted back to IRAC, and I had looked at model answers on the Georgia Bar website.
Right.
And it was a mixture of me getting scared and, of the unknown and not doing what I was told to do previously, even though it didn't really help me before. And if you remember, I know you have other students and everything, but I remember it clearly as that being a turning point for me, was that conversation.
Yeah, I remember the call.
And once that happened, one, it gave me confidence in you, because I don't want someone telling me I'm doing good. I want someone to help me get better. And the fact that you let me know in a stern way that this wasn't good enough, this was going to be a failing answer, to me, it gave me more confidence, because I was like, look, this guy's really reading my stuff, and he's saying, look, this isn't going to be good enough. I wanted someone to tell me that. I wanted someone to help me get better, not someone to be like, oh, you're doing fine, son, good job. I wanted someone to help me improve.
Yeah, I didn't think you were the kind of guy that wanted smoke blown at him. And frankly, I could tell already you were teachable. You wanted to do things the right way. Right. And I think it's a natural reaction, and that's why I wanted to ask about it, because I think this fear that seeps in sometimes, you start to get into things, and then you start saying, well, what if, or should I take a look at, or, how about, what are my friends saying, or what's on the internet, or something else. And it can be really distracting, can it? And really...
You talked about it during that time about task avoidance.
Yeah.
It was that with me. I never was angry or anything. It almost was as if I wanted it so bad I was trying too hard.
Yeah.
And so once that turning point happened where I would just like, look, just let that go, just trust the process, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, and I think that once you had that turning point, and that call was, in my view, the turning point, your work got steadily better and your confidence grew. Now, you used a couple of the tools that we offer. One of them is PhotoReading. Can you talk a little bit about PhotoReading and how you used it?
Yeah, so the last guy you interviewed, was it named Andrew, I think?
Yeah. Yeah.
His summary of it was spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to it. I don't think I can explain it much better than that. So I definitely agree with his take on it. I will just say briefly that it's, first of all, I know whenever you look into it, you're going to think it's like some gimmick or, and I get that. It's easy to be skeptical at first when you see that. You just have to try it and practice it, and then you'll see a difference. And it'll be, to me, it's something, it just improves instincts that we already have, that we don't trust enough. And then it's like a feeling in your stomach where you know the answer is right.
Right. For
some reason, you don't know why it's right, but it's right.
And it allowed you to get through the material faster too, didn't it?
Right. That's one thing today I wanted to say was I did not read one thing consciously the entire time. I didn't read one outline like, reading left to right.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
no conscious reading.
Went up 30 points.
Yeah, nope. Your score went up how much?
31 points.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. And you didn't read consciously left to right. You photo read everything. Right. But it gave you the opportunity to photo read outlines multiple times, correct?
Right. And I would sit there. That's what I would do predominantly at work on my lunch. I would photo read probably an outline 10 times. That's what I would do on my lunches. Mm-hmm. I would work on questions too, but predominantly I wanted to put the work in photo reading to build up the instinct and the non-conscious mind and all of that. Right.
And again, you were teachable. I mean, you went into it with a healthy degree of skepticism, which is fine. But then you were open to the idea that it could be working. And as you began to see your results change and your work change, I think you gained more confidence in the approach. And you were all in. I mean, by the time of the exam, there's no doubt you were all in. You were doing that. The other tool that you used were the paraliminal recordings, correct? And can you talk a little bit about that and how you use those?
Yeah. If anyone out there is considering those, I say get them early and start getting used to them. Start figuring out what you like, what helps the most. I kind of was late to the party on that one, maybe halfway through.
Yeah.
But I listen to them every morning, every study break. I would listen at night to help me sleep. There's three. I know there's 16 or something with the pack that you sell, but I focus on 3 and 4 of them. To me, they just got my mind settled down. I could focus. It was almost like a stress relief. And you kind of got a calming sense about you after listening to them. And I listened to them the day of the exam and the next day, the mornings before I went into the examination site.
Which paraliminal recording, do you remember which one you used?
The focus one.
Yeah.
I can't remember there's 2 or 3 I would cycle through.
Okay.
Can't remember what the two other two are.
Did you use the 10-minute supercharger?
Yeah, I did that when I was studying.
Yeah.
I would do that one when I was studying. That would be a good little pick-me-up.
Good. And so here are all these different techniques and forms. And of course, so think about it. We're talking about changing your writing style. We're changing your reading style. We're changing your mental focus and picture with the paraliminals. We're pretty much changing everything you're doing. And on the multi-state, we're even changing that to a more intuitive way to answer questions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on the MBE, on both sessions, I was done, I think it was 2 hours and 15 minutes on both of them. So I was sitting there. It might have been a little quicker than that.
Yeah. 100. Wait, just again, for clarity for people, that's 100 questions in 2 hours, 15 or less, instead of 3 hours. Yeah. And when you had taken the exam before, how long had it taken you to get through the?
I mean, I took the full time. I mean, and I had left questions blank. I would go back and try to rethink it. And I mean, I was right there. I think the second time I took the exam, I actually had to bubble in the last 8 because I just ran out of time. But this time, I mean, I would do 25 questions. We talked about this before I went in there.
Yeah.
I did 25, and then I would either go to the bathroom or just take a 1-minute breather and reset my mind. And with those breaks in, I still did it in 2 hours.
Right. We actually scheduled your multi-state kind of like a NASCAR race. There's a scheduled pit stop every 25 questions, and you knew that you were going to have enough time that you could do that, get to the end of 25. If you wanted to take a bathroom break, stretch, just kind of clear your brain, or just put your head down or just close your eyes for that moment, that you had, as it turns out, plenty of time to do all of that. And the reason is that you weren't trying to wrestle with each question, right? You weren't trying to eliminate wrong answers and memorize elements and do all that craziness, right?
I didn't do anything like that. And it would have been impossible to, because I hadn't studied that way.
Yeah.
And so I would read the question. I would think, it's like Andrew said as well, he would think of an answer that he thinks should be the answer. If it's there, mark it and move on. If it's not the one that's closest to it, I marked it and moved on. And that's what I did. I didn't go back to any questions. I just got done. I had an hour left, and of course I was stressed out. I was like, there's an hour. People are still frantically doing their tests, and I'm sitting there just twiddling my thumbs, looking around. I went to the bathroom like 4 times. They probably thought I was sick or something.
Yeah,
but,
in Georgia, who knows, right? Yeah, that's awesome. That is beautiful. Well, let's talk a little bit about what it's like to take the bar exam in Georgia. It's always kind of interesting for people to hear what each jurisdiction is like. Can you talk a little bit about the setup there?
Yeah, it's in the Atlanta airport, and so there's like a big conference room center, and you hear the airplanes going over every few seconds. All 2,000 or 2,500 of us or whatever it is are in there in this big room.
Yeah.
What's funny is that it's very military. It's, very rigid. And so I felt right at home. So it was like, stand here, walk forward. Like, I was like,
okay.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, right.
Everyone else is kind of stressed out. I'm just like, look, just tell me where to go. I'll sit down.
Right. Yeah, it's a big room, and it is, I think, one of the weirdest environments to take the exam in.
Yeah.
And 2 days of exams. And Georgia is an incredibly difficult test. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's a lot of subjects that are potentially testable.
Right.
The Georgia examiners have been notoriously difficult over the years. And so, there you are, and you're back in for the 3rd time.
Right.
You said you used the Paraliminals on the day of the exam. What were you feeling going into the actual test days?
I mean, it's night and day difference from the last 2 times, because I finished the study plan this time around. I was done with 2 weeks, I think, and I was just doing study questions and trying to refine my writing. So I walked in. I remember going to lunch with my family 2 days before, and they asked how I felt. And I was like, I feel good. I mean, I'm done studying. I've done all I can. I feel good about my chances. I had prepared really well, and so I felt confident. Of course, in the back of my mind, there's the lingering thought of, you failed twice. Can you improve 20 points? Are you going to be that prepared? Is it going to be that big of a jump? Which, that crept into my mind a little bit. But I remember the difference was, so you're waiting in the lobby to go into the room, the big conference room, and I walked straight to the front of the door and waited. I was the first one in the exam site.
Wow.
Because in my mind, I decided I need to go attack it. I don't need to be afraid back here in the back with all these people. So I went to the front. As soon as it was open, I walked in, sat down, I was ready to go.
That makes my heart happy. I love that. And a 31, and so you wanted 20 points. You needed 20 or 21, I think. And you got 31.
Yes.
I mean, your head explodes. But then, of course, Georgia has this ridiculously long period between the exam and the results coming out. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like during the waiting period?
I mean, I was relieved. Once it was over, I was almost happy that I had to wait a while, because I was just so invested in the whole process, and I just needed a time away from it a little bit. As it got closer and results started trickling in from other jurisdictions, it's got to the point where I was like, oh, here it comes. It's getting serious now. And the weight of it all, especially when we got into October, and I could see that, it's this month I'll find out. It got really, really heavy. And it was a painful wait to get the passing result.
Yeah. Now, on the day that results came out, you had things going on in other parts of your life as well, right?
Yeah. So the way the Army works, to get promoted, you have to go to boards where they test you, your uniform, your facing movements, your marching, just general military questions. And in there will be the sergeant major and then the first sergeants from each company in your battalion. I know people probably don't understand what that means, but it's just a lot of the higher ranking soldiers that test you. And it's a very, very stressful process for people. it was stressful for me, even though I'm a little older and I've been through a little bit more than some other soldiers have been. But I only got a week's notice that I was going to this board.
Wow.
It was my first board I was eligible for. I didn't think they'd send me. Found out they're sending me, and lo and behold, it's the same day results come out.
So but hey, there's no pressure in your life that day, right?
I know. And I remember I was just physically sick because I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
But so I had to read a 112-page study guide for this board. Had to get my dress uniform ready to go. Had to do all this stuff the week of the exam results. And I thought they could come out early. And so I was like, what if I got bad news on Thursday and I have the board on Friday, and they know I was taking the bar, they're going to ask me about it. So it was just a stressful week. I ended up passing the board. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And then I had to go out, I changed. I saw that results were out. And so I was sitting there in my Jeep, just sitting, after that stressful situation in the board, knowing that, okay, now I got to check for my results. And so I was sweating. I was nervous. I was almost confident, but still, it was still nerve-wracking. And I tried to check, and the site kept crashing. And so there's like different forums that you can check where people are talking about the results. And so I went to the forums, and someone had sent a PDF to the thread of the list. And so I checked that, and I was like, I'll just check this. I'll get it over with. But the file was in a format, like the list was in a format I'd never seen before. I was like, is this even real? Is it someone just make this and send it in? And so I went to my name, and I found my name. And I was like, well, there's my name, but is this the real list? And so I spent like 30 more minutes trying to get onto the Georgia site, and then I finally got on there and found out that I had passed.
Yes, it's legit. Wow, what a day that must have been. You must have just been not only excited, but exhausted.
Yeah, it was just overwhelming. It was a very eventful day. I mean, I can't understate it. It was a lot going on, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
It ended well, though.
That's awesome. And what did your family have to say about all this?
Well, it's funny. My wife, she works as a teacher on the post I work at.
Yeah.
So I found out, and I told her I made her under the impression that I didn't know yet. And so I went to her school and just walked to her classroom and let her know that I passed.
Oh, wow.
And so she was actually out of her classroom, and then I turned around and she was walking back towards her classroom and saw me sitting there in like my Army PT outfit, and I just screamed, I passed, down this hallway of like second graders. And then so she was happy. We talked there for a little bit, and she told her teacher friends. They all came out from this second grade hallway like celebrating. It was pretty funny.
That's great. Oh, man, what a great moment. I'm sure the second graders were pretty excited, too, even though they don't know what the bar exam is.
Yeah, the commotion of it all.
Yeah. Well, so I'm really pleased for you, Joe. This is really the culmination of so much effort, and you were a great student. You really did take to heart what we asked you to do, and you were intelligent and thoughtful about it. We had great conversations. It was a lot of fun to work with you because you asked such good questions. You weren't just, sort of rotely doing things. You were actually saying, well, why are we doing this? And then you'd understand it and you'd go and do it. And I thought it was really incredible to watch your growth, both as a lawyer, as a student, but just kind of your emotional journey as well, going from really being so disappointed and frustrated that you just hadn't been able to get over the hump, to really being confident and going in. And I love that you were the first guy to walk in the room. That's the best of all.
Appreciate that.
What advice would you give somebody who's taken the exam in any state and failed, and is sort of now faced with being where you were a few months ago?
I think the biggest thing for me was realizing results day will be here before you know it. Regardless of how far away it seems, you want to have good news on that results day. So start now, start trusting the process. I definitely wanted to talk about FLA, though, because...
Yeah, let's talk about that. And by FLA, you're talking about the writing style that we teach, which is different than IRAC, issue, rule, application, conclusion. Yeah, go ahead, talk about that, please.
To me, it achieves what IRAC fails to achieve to me as far as simplifying the issues and the disputes. But so, as far as my score goes, the FLA is what saved me. I mean, I did that for both MPTs and all 4 essays, and each sub-question of the essay. I had FLA every single one.
And FLA stands for Fact Law Application.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And so my essay score last time was, I think, a 125. It was a 151.
Wow.
On that essay and MPT side. Right. My MBE went up like 10 points or 8 points, something like that. But so I improved a little bit there. But to me, the big winner was changing my writing style. I mean, you can't argue the proof of the score. I mean, it went from 125 to 151. So people who are skeptical about that, don't be. It cleans up your writing. It allows the grader to follow what you're thinking. And it shows you know what you're talking about. You know what's in dispute. You know what they'll say. You may want to say what the issue is. I know you don't like that word, but to me, I mean, it saved me. That writing style. I mean, I couldn't be more higher on it than I am right now because it saved my grade.
That's great. I'm so glad. I take a lot of heat for teaching a different writing style. Somehow, when you tell the world that the earth is not flat, they're always the people that are convinced that you're going to fall off the edge. So I'm
telling you, if someone's watching this video and they're skeptical, do not be skeptical. It's going to work. You just have to do it.
Cool. I think that's a great place to stop. I'm thrilled. I am so pleased for you and so excited to see where your career leads and how you use your bar membership, in the Army and post-Army, if that's where your career takes you. But again, so appreciative that you would come alongside us and do this work and be such a great student, and of course very grateful for your service to our country.
I appreciate it.
We just wish you we wish you safety, we wish you good luck and wonderful things happening, and thanks for taking the time to share your insights today. I know, as you said, you watched a lot of these videos before you got started. I know there are people out there watching this video going, oh my gosh.
I know.
Yeah.
FLA. That's all I'm going to say. You got to do it.
And I guess I want to finish with one thought. In the middle of one of our hard conversations, I don't remember which one exactly, you and I talked about the importance of visualization. And I said, visualize the day when you're being interviewed by me because you passed the bar exam. Right. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's funny, too, is I sent you an email saying I want to be one of those people. Yeah. I sent that really early on, I think.
Well, you are. You are.
I know.
Isn't that great? I mean, the power of visualization. So, congratulations.
Another thing about that is, I had my entire wall full of, you're going to pass, be confident, all that stuff. Another thing that I think is important is the mindset, just being confident, believing you're going to pass. If you don't think you're going to pass, you probably won't. So you got to believe it.
Perfect. Hey, listen, congratulations again. Thank you so much for being with us today. And to those of you in our audience, look, this is a great example. Joe is a terrific example of what can be done when you just put your head down, you do the work, you follow the directions, it works. And so, don't be discouraged and don't give up. So, all right. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye for today. We'll see you again next time with the next interview. And again, thanks and congratulations to you, Joe.
Thanks so much, Jackson. I appreciate all your help.
Bye-bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Joe. He's amazing, isn't he? And what an incredible job that he did in bringing his score up and passing the exam. So I hope it's inspiring to you. Now, while that interview was going on, I went back and checked the dates of the webinar that I couldn't tell you about before. And the dates for this week will be November 27th, that's Monday, and November 30th on Thursday. So 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, how to make the next bar exam, your last bar exam. Just go to our website and register there, or if you're watching the video, scroll down the page and you can register there. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. Congratulations to those of you who have passed your bar exams in July 2017. For those of you that are taking the exam for whatever reason in 2018, we look forward to working with you and joining you along the extra mile, and we'll see your name on the pass list real soon. Take care for now, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.